then just doing it, just staying in it. And even when you feel like you're not getting anything back.
Hello, I'm Ralph Peterson, the founder and CEO of the Standard Health and Rehab. The Standard Health and Rehab is a training center like no other training centers. Here, we focus exclusively on teaching administrators and their executive housekeepers on how to run the most effective and efficient housekeeping and laundry departments in their nursing home. You attend one of our 3-day workshops. I guarantee you will learn everything you need to know on how to design, manage, and implement the most effective and efficient housekeeping and laundry program that adheres to the CDC guidelines. Everything we do is based on the CDC guidelines. Job routines, creating all our schedules, cleaning all our cleaning processes, and then this wonderful thing that we do on day 2 is we have a fishbowl where it's called a fishbowl. It's not an actual fishbowl, but because we're doing it video-based, because we're doing it on a Zoom call, I give everybody the opportunity to share their own facility map. And so somebody will come in with a 240-bed facility map, and we'll put it up on the fishbowl on the screen so everybody can see it. And then one-on-one, we'll dissect it. We'll break down all the rooms. We'll talk about rooms, cleaning schedules, how often, what direction housekeepers should go, where to divide the workload from this housekeeper works till here, this housekeeper works till there. And it's literally, everybody gets to watch us take apart a 240-bed nursing home. And then somebody else will come in and they'll be like, I have a 50-bed nursing home, but it's a little unique, and we do this, we do that. I'm like, let's throw it up in the fishbowl. And now everybody's looking at that home facility map, and we're dissecting that. We're talking about where these job routines can go, and how this job routine can go, and how to clean the front entrance, and how often to clean resident rooms, and what about the public bathrooms. And we just literally dissect all these facilities, and everybody that's part of the standard, they all get to watch in real time, and everybody gets to ask questions and put input, and you walk away just having such a bigger, broader understanding of what it's like to clean and dissect the building, to clean it properly, day in and day out. I'm telling you, you do not know the value. You wouldn't understand the value that it provides just watching how we clean. You ever dissect an 800-bed facility? I have. It's a lot of work, but it is so fascinating. And if you're running a 100-bed building, a 200-bed building, trust me when I say, watching us take apart a 50-bed building, a 200-bed building, an 800-bed building, even though you're only running a 300-bed building or you're only running an 80-bed building, it is so super valuable. You'll be able to go back to your facility and go, okay, now I understand. Now I'm seeing the big picture. Now I'm able to understand how I'm supposed to be even just addressing this building and cleaning it on a consistent basis. Our mission is to provide a clean, safe, and sanitized facility for our residents and our fellow coworkers and our visitors. That's what we want to do. We want the place to look beautiful, and we want it to be completely disinfected on a consistent basis. It takes a plan, it takes a process, it takes time, it takes effort, it takes a structured plan.
It can happen faster than 10 months too. I'm curious, Marianne, do you feel like, and I'm not sure, really.
Hello, everyone. Welcome. We have about 2.5 minutes before we go live on IBGR. So bear with me a minute while I catch my breath from this whirlwind of a day and get going. Here we go. Today we're going to be doing a deep dive, a business operations deep dive. All right. Thank you, India. All right. Here we go. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Ralph Peterson Radio program. I am your host, Ralph Peterson, and I am so excited to be here. It has been a whirlwind of a week. This week is flying by as well. There's so much going on in the world today from, I don't even know where to begin. There are so many things from Oscar Mayer, like the Wiener truck is hiring drivers, to there's a Florida principal and her daughter accused of trying to rig an election for prom queen. There's coronavirus news. There's business journal news. There's small business news. There's, you name it. It seems to be a wacky time indeed. And we're going to talk all about it while we're also going to start our series into a business operations deep dive. This is number 1 of 2. Next week, we'll follow up with number 2. But the deep dive, operational deep dive, just to give you a quick, brief little overview. If you've been following along, we've talked about everything from competitive landscape to strategic direction to customers to organizational workforce to everything, work processes, operational analysis, operational effectiveness. And this week, we're going to try to tie it up. We're going to try this week and next week, we're going to try to tie these loose ends up into an operational deep dive. And we're going to really look at what it means to make a business work from beginning. You get a sale, you make a sale, you get a customer, and you deliver a service or product. And that whole operation from beginning to end, what it looks like, some best practices, some good takeaways, and a lot of lessons learned from doing it for a long time myself. But first, here we are, the IBGR Radio Network. This is the place to be for entrepreneurs, by entrepreneurs. This radio program, this whole radio station, the IBGR radio station is, she says, I am not connected. It says I am connected. I'm not connected. Are you sure? All right, say it again. Sure? Are you sure? All right, let me stop, disconnect, reconnect. All right, here we are, IBGR, the Ralph Peterson Radio program. Let me see if I am connected this time. Donna, if you could please say yes or no. Hopefully, I saw the message there, Donna. Can you please? India, could you tell me if I'm connected? It says, okay, yes, I think that means I am connected. Welcome to the IBGR Network, Ralph Peterson Radio program. I'm going to start all over. That's right. Okay, so I'm here. That's good. Little technical problems on a Tuesday afternoon never hurt anyone. Listen, if you're not going to be able to roll with technical problems in 2021, well, friend, I don't know how successful you're going to be, because technicalities and problems and issues, well, that's the name of the game in business. And so it's the name of the game in radio. Here we are at the only studio that matters today. This one right here, not connected again. Oh, no. What is happening? Let me see. Let me check. India, can you please tell me if I am on the air? India, am I on live? At least tell me if I am on live. So that means I'm at least connected to the internet. Let me see. I am connected. Still not connected. I am connected. We are live. Okay. We are connected to the internet and live. So let me reboot this again. Let me see. All right, I'm going to stop this. Oops. Let me stop this again. Stop recording. Yes. And start again. I know you see me on Facebook. That's good. All right, here we go again, live on the IBGR network, the Ralph Peterson Radio program. I feel like a parrot at this moment, just kind of repeating and repeating myself. Please tell me if I am live on the IBGR network. You can see and hear me on Facebook. That's good. How about now? My fingers are fat sometimes, and I can't type as way I want. Okay, so India is saying I'm live. Problems. Let's see if we get it. No, still not live. Okay. It says I am. Live. Connect. Yes. All right. I'll shut the whole thing off. Hold on. Just stand by a minute. I am restarting the program. And stream time, not on the radio. I don't know why. Stop, disconnected. Connected. It says I am connected. You are there now. Oh, well, here we go. It just took us a little longer to start the show today than normal, but there it is. Here we are, Ralph Peterson Radio program, IBGR network, for all things not technically a problem, all things that are not associated with technical problems. Go to ibgr.network. That's where, oh, good, you can hear me now. That's where you find everything you need to know about the IBGR radio programs, all of the great programming on this radio station. Go to ibgr.network. In fact, if you are interested in communicating with me or other hosts on this network, you can click. There is a orange or flashing yellow question mark at the bottom right-hand corner of the screen. Click on that and you can engage, ask questions, make comments, or otherwise just let us know how everything is going out there. If you would like to watch live, we are live on Facebook. We're live on Twitter. We're live on YouTube as well, on both the Ralph Peterson Radio Network as well as the IBGR Network. Also, oh my gosh, I got to tell you, one of the greatest things we have here at IBGR is we have a mobile app where you can actually take this radio station with you, because listen, let's be honest. The best way to listen to this radio program, or any radio program really, is by doing something else. Don't just sit on the couch and do nothing while you're listening to this radio program. Go out, do something, mow the lawn, shovel the snow, take the dog for a walk. My dog is actually at my feet, and I'm not actually supposed to use the walk word because he knows that word, and he's going to be scratching at the door here any second, thinking that I was talking to him. I wasn't. Pipe down. Anyway, IBGR Radio, go to your app store on Android or the iOS, and you can download, just type in IBGR, and you can download the app, the Radio Show to Go on the IBGR network. It is the place to be. Let's just, because I don't have a lot of time left, because I had technical difficulties, I just want to tell you just a little in the world of people looking for jobs. You should know that Oscar Mayer, the hot dog company, is hiring for people to drive their Wienermobile. And what's so fun about driving the Wienermobile is they're not looking for people who simply have a driver's license. They're looking for people who are outgoing and who are willing to get out of their vehicle, out of the Wienermobile vehicle, and engage with passerbyers. Because, and if you go, you can just look it up, because it's just a news article right now where they're looking for drivers. But one of the greatest things is they have all these pictures of the Wienermobile being involved in everything from the drive-in movie theater to kids playing on bicycles to people being proposed in front of the Wienermobile. Everybody loves to take a selfie in front of the Wienermobile. And so if you are an outgoing person who has a driver's license and wants to drive around a hot dog, a Wienermobile hot dog, well, maybe that job is for you. Listen, that's a nice summer job. I would have done well with that summer job if I were there. Another thing in the news, which really makes me laugh because I have a friend who decided that they were going to homeschool their 11-year-old son because of the coronavirus and all the craziness going on. They decided they were going to homeschool their son. And I just thought to myself, I don't know that everybody thinks teaching is so easy. Everybody just thinks that I'll just teach the kid. Your kid's a pain in the butt, and you probably don't know that. And the schooling and the teaching and the things they're learning, even for an 11-year-old is, let's call a spade a spade. It's more advanced than I am at this moment. And there's this great story coming out where a boy writes in a journal about his mom's homeschooling attempt during the coronavirus outbreak. And it's hilarious. So here we go. This guy named Ben on 3/16 writes, "It is not going good. My mom's getting stressed out. My mom is really getting confused. We took a break so my mom can figure this stuff out. And I'm telling you, it is not going good." That is from a 10-year-old writing in his journal about how frustrated his mom is trying to figure out this homeschooling. I love it. I think it's fantastic. Who knew? And also, before we're going to take our first break here. When we get back, we're going to talk all about the operational deep dive, where we go from having a customer to getting your first customer to delivering your service and product, that whole operational part, that whole operational flow, that deep dive into your business. We're going to talk about it from a few different aspects. So come right back with us. We'll be right back in a couple of minutes here on the Ralph Peterson radio program. Say hello to the listener in Moscow. Hello, listener in Moscow. Thanks, India. It's not a browser, so the radio program is actually it's a separate app that doesn't require. So it's not a browser issue. It's an app issue, and it goes right to radio.co, the IBGR radio. So thank you, but it's not a browser issue. Indeed. If you're just tuning in and looking at me staring at you, it's because I'm reading a screen and I'm just getting prepared for the next segment of the radio station. So I'm not ignoring you, nor am I trying to read your mind, which I think is what it looks like, me just staring at you. Not really. I'm reading. All right, 30 seconds. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Ralph Peterson Radio program. I am your host, Ralph Peterson, and I am excited to have you back here today where we are talking all about operational effectiveness. We're actually talking about a business operational deep dive here. It is the 16th day of March 2021. Is this year flying by? Or is it me? I got to tell you, I have just been in work mode. When you start up a company, when you decide that you're going to try something, the level of effort that you have to put in is a lot more than you normally would guess, which I think it's interesting. That's a cross-reference to management as well. I know I do a lot of management training, and one of the biggest reasons why most new managers fail is they truly have no idea, and they're just simply not prepared for the amount of effort, the amount of time, the starting earlier, the working later, the amount of effort and time and resources it actually takes to manage a department, that it actually takes to build a business. And so first and foremost, we're talking about an operational deep dive. It's a day and night, 7 day a week. It is this behemoth monster that, in order to get up and running, takes an awful lot of pushing and pulling and prodding and thinking and reworking. And so first and foremost, make sure that you are looking at viability. A lot of people, myself included, I sometimes get into this creation mode where I am convinced that if I create this thing, this service line or this product, that people are just going to want it. And I spend all my time creating it, and then nobody buys it. And as a matter of fact, not only does nobody buy it, but I've had people literally disregard my entire business model in a single question, something I didn't even think about. I built all of this, and they just destroyed it with pointing out one simple little oversight on my part. And all that work, all those hours, all those days, weeks, and months gone. And the worst part is, you know how much money I made for all that effort? Zero. It is so super important to come up with a good idea, of course, but then you have to sell the idea before you build the product, before you design the service. I remember when I was in community college of Vermont, and it was a business class, and there was a gentleman there who had started a company selling manure. It was cow manure, and it was selling it as fertilizer for trees. And he came in, or plants, not just trees, but plants all in general. And he came in and explained what he and his business partner did. And what they did was they designed a bag. That's right. You heard it right. They designed a bag, and this bag is what they went around to all the local shops that sold soil and dirt and fertilizer and trees and plants and all that. They went around with this bag, empty bag, by the way. It was an empty bag. It was a bag example with all like a pretty little logo on it about their organic, I'm using air quotes for those who are not watching me, their organic material to help fertilize their plants, which again, of course, is just cow manure. They went around and they got actual orders for the product by just making the bag. The bag was not the product. The product goes in the bag, but they made the bag and they were able to sell the bag. So they went and found the product. So understand that they sold the idea first. It took me, I got to tell you, it took me a long time to really understand what the heck they were talking about. How do you sell a bag without a product? How can you possibly have a bag without a product? And the answer is They just simply knew that the product that they wanted to sell was available. It was just a mixture of soil and cow manure, which they could get anywhere. We're in Vermont, and so both soil and cow manure are just about as popular as McDonald's French fries, that you can get them anywhere. And they knew that all they needed was to, you think about it, you know what it reminds me of is the idea of, I have a dog right this second at my feet, sleeping on a little bed. He's adorable. His name's Topsy. And I know that when I go shopping for dog food for him, I shop for the bag that looks good to me. I'm going to give you an admission right now. I have never tried his dog food, but it looks good to me, and that's what I base buying it off of. I buy his dog food based on how it looks to me, even though I have never tried it, will never try it, have no intention of trying it. Dog food manufacturers know they are not selling to the dog. They're selling to the dog owner. And that's what's important. Know who your customer is. You have to know who your customer is. Number two, you have to have the product idea and some sort of a sample, but don't waste your time getting into the soil and the manure and the collecting and the mixing and the bag. Forget all that. Just the bag first. Just the bag, just the promotion, just the idea. Get out there and sell the idea. That's how you start with a product or a service line. And past summer, 2020, when COVID hit, and I work in nursing homes and I work in housekeeping in nursing homes. And you would think, like, right now, housekeeping is getting all the rave. Like, housekeeping is pretty popular. It's pretty easy to sell out a webinar series right now for housekeeping deep dives and stuff. But in the middle of 2020, it was still not looked at as all that important. It was still not looked at as something that they would have to spend money on and research and all that. And so my business started to tank pretty good. And my assistant India and I, we tried everything. We thought of a wheelchair cleaning program. We thought of a wheelchair tracking program. We thought of a fogging machine program. We can go around and help disinfect areas. We just kept coming up with ideas and then trying to sell it. We never created anything. Just keep that in mind. We never created anything. We never created a wheelchair cleaning schedule or a wheelchair. We were going to do an electronic thing. We never did that. We never did the fogging machine. We never did all of this stuff that we tried. We never did because we couldn't sell it. We thought of it. We came up with an outline for it. We tried to figure out how we could sell it. We figured out who the market would be towards, how we'd get it all together. We were thinking about buying hub scrubs and all this stuff. And in the end, we couldn't sell it. And the reason that we didn't spend any money is because we knew that we needed a customer first. And in fact, I should tell you that this radio station is being brought to you today by the Standard Health and Rehab. The Standard Health and Rehab is an online management platform that makes housekeeping management easy, super easy for long-term care administrators. I mean, super easy. And the way that we built this, the reason we even started it is because we sold it first. Towards the end of the summer last year in 2020, we are again calling everybody, reaching out to long-term care facilities, nursing homes, contacts that we have. And we're just trying to figure out what's the best thing that we can do. How can we continue? Because we work in housekeeping. We work in housekeeping and laundry and dietary. That's our expertise. We focus on management and operations. And so we're trying to figure out how to sell our services and how to package it properly. And if somebody comes along and says, if you made this into an online program where you could literally just show me how to do it, like every week or every day, there's a new thing that's already pre-planned. Like we put it into a Google Calendar that you can also use with your iOS calendar or your Outlook calendar, so that when an administrator signs up for our program, they literally just get the entire program is launched into their calendar program. And then every day it just shows them how to manage their housekeeping and laundry department. We never would have started that program. We never would have built it. And today it's thriving for us. It's really, really fantastic. We're doing it all over the country. We're hosting a virtual workshop next week, a 3-day workshop next week. We have buildings from Hawaii and Nebraska, New Hampshire, Massachusetts, New York, all over the place coming together in this virtual space to learn about housekeeping. This would not be a thing had we not been able to sell it first. So we sold it first and then we built it. And that is the lesson, the first lesson when you're talking about the business operational deep dive, understanding the importance of building or selling a product or a service before you invest all the time and energy into building that service or product. The building part of it do that after the first sale. That first sale is crucial. And then once you get that first sale, which is the most exciting thing in the universe, after you get that first sale, you got to think of two things. One, how do you get your second sale, right? So how do you keep selling it? And number two, how do you get that first customer to come back and buy again? How do you get a new sale and how do you get a repeat sale? Those are the two main questions that you have to ask. And hence we're going to start getting into a workflow process. We're going to start getting into quality measures. We're going to start figuring out what are we doing? How are we doing it? How do we know it's working? How do we know it's going well? Those are all the questions that you need to be asking yourself in business. I have a friend, actually, we're going to run out of time, but I have a friend who is starting a truck, a barbecue truck. He's going to be selling barbecue on the side of the road or at fairs, or I'm not sure exactly what his business plan is and where he's going to be selling it, but he does have this business plan he's been working on for a long time on how to sell barbecue out of a truck. We'll talk about that and more right after this. Yeah, right after this. All right. 25 seconds. And we are back. Welcome back to the Ralph Peterson Radio program. This is the third segment of today. And before we begin, I talked about it briefly in the beginning at the top of the hour, but there's something funny to me. I do not know. Now, I don't know how to even preface this. I'll just say that I have no idea who the prom king and the prom queen was of my high school. I have absolutely zero idea. Not only do I not have any idea, I don't even know that I voted for anybody. Like, I don't even remember that there was a vote. Maybe I wasn't there when there was a vote. Who knows? But I know that they have a prom king. I know that they have a prom queen. And I never knew how, I never even gave it a thought. It's never been something I've ever thought about. Doesn't really matter to me. But I would have thought that people who were voted prom king or prom queen had more to do with academics or athletics, more than just a popularity contest. However, there is a story out today that a Florida school principal and her daughter were arrested for allegedly hacking into the student accounts and casting homecoming votes for, you guessed it, for the principal's daughter. Who does this? Laura Rose Carroll, 50, and her 17-year-old daughter, Emily Rose, have been charged with offenses against computers, unlawful use of two-way communication devices. Essentially, what they did was they hacked into the computer, or hacked is probably not the right word because the principal, Laura Carroll, had access to everybody, and she just simply gave fraudulent votes. She cast 250 votes for her daughter to become the homecoming queen. And not only did it not go through because the votes came up as fraudulent, because I guess there's some kind of tracking they can tell that it's all coming from the same IP address, but they were, this is what's funny. There's also a lot of people, a lot of students who complain that they would not have voted for her. And it seems like they did vote for her. So it reminds me, there was this comedy show with Drew Carey. Drew Carey was like one of the judges, a comedian, one of the hosts. And there's like a panel of 4 or 5 judges, and they were watching these new comedians, and they would vote whether or not the new comedian would go through or not go through. And this big controversy came up because the 5 comedians who were voting on the people who are doing the auditioning voted for somebody who got voted off. And they're like, wait, I thought you voted for him. You didn't think he was funny? And it turns out, everybody on the panel is like, no, we all voted yes for that guy. And so they turned to the producer, and they're like, why did he get booted out if we all voted yes? And the producer goes, you guys don't actually make the decision. You guys are kind of like just the figureheads. We pat you on the head, make you think you make the decision, but you don't actually make the decision. The producers in the back make the decision. And that was like, it was all over. When that happened, it was a few years ago. It was just pandemonium because all the comedians were threatening to quit. They were like, this is BS, which of course it is, because they were supposed to be the judges. Whatever. It's funny. I just think it's what is it? Is it sad? Is it pathetic? What is it when a daughter, I don't even know. I don't even know. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it says when somebody is, let's call this what it is. This person is driven to be the prom queen, but unwilling to do anything or all the things that would require you to become the prom queen. So she wanted to bypass all the, be a great student, be a great athlete, be a great person, be helpful, do all the great things for people in the school to maybe win that way. Instead, she skipped over all that stuff. Nah, it's not important. My mom's the principal. We're just going to slide in there and change the votes ourselves so that I could be prom queen. I don't know. Maybe I'm reading too much into it. Who knows? Hey, tomorrow in other news, tomorrow afternoon at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. For those who do not get enough of the Ralph Peterson Radio Show, I'm actually going to be on the Jay Izzo radio program. He has a podcast called The New Direction, and go to newdirection.com. You can see Jay Izzo right there. And tomorrow at 3 p.m., we're going to be live on Facebook and on, I don't know where else we're going to be live, but maybe LinkedIn, who knows? I don't know where he's going to be broadcasting live from, but it will be a fun interview on my latest book, The Good Manager, Being Great is Overrated. That'll be really fun. So check that out. Now, let's get back into the business operational deep dive. We talked all about the idea behind creating or getting a customer before you fully create a product or a service. And the next thing I want to talk about is actually looking at limitations in your industry and what could possibly be holding you back from doing business. I got to say that one of the biggest challenges that I've had over the last 3 years, this is my 4th year being in business on my own, and one of the biggest challenges I've had is not fully vesting enough time and understanding to get to know all the rules, all the regulations. I mean, I can't tell you how many fines I have had to pay because I was late on submitting a document for the Social Security benefits or for the disability benefit services, or, like there's just so much, and understanding that there are rules, there are regulations that may hinder your ability to do business. And in fact, you know what? Just because it's here now, it's right in our face right now. We're all faced with, especially those of us who own a small business. I'm a small business owner. Most of you out there listening to this radio program are small business owners, being that this radio program is for business owners from business owners. And I would say probably most of us are small business owners. We're doing less than $1 million a year. And small businesses have been, hurt hard would be an understatement during this pandemic. And there's a couple of stories out today where there's one that says couples struggle to hold on to an eatery. And it's about this urban grill and how they put a sign up in their window that said, it was a question to their patrons that said, should we fight or should we let COVID win? That's the big question on their store window, their restaurant's window. Should we continue to fight or should we let COVID win? And then in a competing or a complementary article, there's another one that says new CDC guidelines on vaccinated people are creating some concerns for business owners. And if you haven't heard what the CDC has come up with lately, it is such a nightmare. The CDC is like, well, if people have been fully vaccinated, then they can hang out together and they don't have to wear masks. But if you're in a public place, then you should wear a mask, even if you are fully vaccinated. But if you have been fully vaccinated and you're out in public with somebody who also has been fully vaccinated, then you don't need to wear a mask. And who is going to make that decision? Who is supposed to decide, to figure out, to check and balance? Who are you going to rely on? And they're saying that these companies are saying, you can't rely on us. These small businesses are like, you cannot put it on us to determine whether or not somebody's been vaccinated or not been vaccinated, not vaccinated. Then on the other side, you have all these issues. Everyone's saying, oh, all these small businesses are hurting. What can we do to help these small businesses? It's easy. I'm going to give you the magic. Here we go. Ready? This is from your friend here, Ralph Peterson. I'm going to give you the magic on how to help small businesses. It doesn't cost money. The government doesn't need to give us money. You know what they need to do? They need to stop the BS. They need to stop the regulations. They need to stop saying one thing and then saying another. They need to stop deciding one business can do business, but another business can't do business. They should just leave it up to us, good old American people. We are good-hearted, hardworking people who know right from wrong. We know right from wrong. And if I am not comfortable being in public without a mask on, I should have the right to wear a mask. If I am comfortable being in public without a mask on, I should be able to go out in public without a mask on. The government, the store clerk, McDonald's, the gas station attendant, the school teacher, none of them should be telling me anything. I know enough for me. I have the right to choose for me. You want to help me, you want to help small businesses, stop with this insane idea that you know better than we do. Stop with this insane idea that American people can't be trusted. It's the most ridiculous, asinine, backwards way of thinking that is possible. Stop it. Get out of our way. This company, this couple with their little eatery in small business America, they're saying, should we fight COVID or let COVID win? No, you should definitely fight. You should definitely fight. This whole idea that if you're with somebody who's been vaccinated, then you don't have to wear a mask. But if you're somebody you might be, might not be, you shouldn't be. The idea that you now have to read minds, check medical records, you have to check. Has anybody ever heard of HIPAA? Has anybody in the love of God ever heard of HIPAA? HIPAA, Health Insurance Portability Act, which simply means you do not have the right to know my medical history. That includes what vaccinations I've had and what vaccinations I haven't had, what diseases I've had, what diseases I haven't had. If I broke a leg, not broke a leg. Had a splinter, did not have a splinter. Went to the doctor, didn't go to the doctor. Not your business. I have a right to that privacy myself. So these places are thinking, they're like, maybe we should be asking for medical history. No, you should not be asking for medical history. This is what you should do. You should mind your own business. If you're not comfortable wearing a mask, or without wearing a mask, then wear a mask. If you're not comfortable being around people who don't have masks on, then don't go to where people who don't have masks on. Simple as that. Grocery store should say, if you'd like to wear a mask, great. If you don't want to wear a mask, fine. The door is open. If you're not comfortable with people without a mask on, put a mask on. If you are, don't put a mask. Up to you, not up to us, the business owner. That's my thoughts. Next, we'll get more into the business operations. I went on a soapbox. Who knew? Soapbox. It's driving me crazy, obviously. It's obviously got me a little batty, a little bit. Un poco instead of French. Un poco, which is Spanish, I think. Poco? Per? Who knows? That's what happens when you try to learn too many languages at once. You get them all confused. I can tell you, there's a whole new... We'll talk about long-term care because, there's talk of just rise in the civil disobedience in long-term care just because it's crazy. It's crazy. The impact that the coronavirus is having on our elderly is criminal. Criminal. You know what, India? I had no idea what you were just doing. You just sent me, India just sent me a little emoji, and I didn't know what it was. It's a mic drop. That's right. I'm dropping the mic. Thank you, India. That's right. That's right. I'm done with this tomfoolery. Get out of our damn way. President Reagan said it. The most dangerous words to ever hear is, I'm from the government and I'm here to help. The government will never help you. I don't care if it's the American government or the Russian government or the Chinese government or the Korean government or the Japanese government or the Saudi Arabian government or the whatever government. They are all the same. None of them are here for you. None of them. None of them. Most of them actually are against you. They're here to exploit you, to take advantage of you. Government. Yeah. All right. Just about 65 seconds away from Radio Gold. Or, well, Radio Copper. That's the opposite of gold. See what I did there? Is copper the opposite of gold? What's a metal? Or would it be like tin? Tin? Yeah. Aluminum? Radio aluminum. I like it. Radio tin. 30 seconds. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Ralph Peterson Radio program, where we are supposed to be talking about operational deep dive, business operations deep dive. But I got on a little bit of a tangent about we're all concerned about how these small businesses are supposed to survive. And the truth is, man, if you just stopped with the regulation and let us just go back to work and let our customers come in the door, for the love of goodness, that would be enough. As a matter of fact, there's even more. It's even more sinister out there. There is a call, for those of you who don't know, I work in nursing homes, work in long-term care, health care, as it were. And there is a strong call, maybe like a sub-movement, not quite a full movement yet, but I can see that it's rapidly coming on, where there's being a call for civil disobedience from healthcare workers, healthcare providers, long-term care providers, meaning the CDC, the government, goodness knows I live in New York, and our governor is he claims to be a healthcare worker. If you would have asked him, he would say that he has his administrator's license, he has his nursing license, he has his CNA certification, he has all this experience in long-term care. If you would have asked him, he'd probably tell you that, because he's making all the decisions for long-term care, regardless of anybody else's business or expertise. And the idea is that the CDC, the government, is going to take their time, because they even say it in this article. They even say it, that there is no hurry from the perspective of government regulators and politicians. I'm reading from this article. This article is by Steve Moran, called the Senior Living Forecast. From this perspective of government regulators and politicians, it is a lot less risky for senior living to restrict visitors than to relax regulations. See, they believe that they are never, or almost never, going to be criticized for being overproductive or protective. The problem, as this article points out, is by not allowing visitation, by not reducing the restriction on senior living visitation and letting family members come in, the mental health issues that our residents, the elderly, are suffering under is so great and having such an impact. As a matter of fact, there is a new movie out called I Care a Lot. It's called I Care a Lot. And this movie is about this couple that take over, they steal people's identities, they steal people's property, and they do it when they are elderly. They have very little to no family members around, or distant family around. And so nobody's there to watch their back. And they swoop in, they take over their estate. They have a doctor that works with them who puts them in their care, and they take their house, they take all their belongings, they take all their money, they take their liberty, and they put them in a nursing home. And in the nursing home, they restrict the people from getting any visitors. They don't let them talk to anybody on the phone. They don't let them reach out to anybody. They don't let them do anything. They take away all that. And the whole idea is that when you're elderly, this couple, this little power couple, can come in. If you don't have very much family around, this power couple can come in. They can take all your belongings, put you in long-term care, put you in lockdown in long-term care, and literally take your life. It's a fictional movie. Ha, ha, ha. It's not a fictional movie. This is real life. This is actually happening right now in long-term care, and it's being done by the government, where you can't see your family. It's very hard to get visitation rights. And I mean, I know that they're getting less and less restrictive right now, but because they're slow, because they're taking their time, this article points out that it is having a huge, huge impact on the mental health of the elderly that are in these homes. And it just is simply terrible. And they're calling for a significant civil disobedience, where they're going to be asking, and it's a tough call too, because there's a lot riding on it. You can't just decide not to, You can't just decide not to adhere to government regulations when you're regulated by the government. Healthcare is the number 2 most regulated industry in the country. I think after nuclear power. I think nuclear power is number 1. I think healthcare is the 2nd most regulated industry in the country. You can't get away with civil disobedience in healthcare. You are literally under the iron fist, if you were, of the government. So you have to know that. So the only reason I even bring that up is because it's one of those situations where if you're like me and your business is working in long-term care, working in one of these healthcare environments, you have to know the restrictions that you are under, just even trying to get an appointment, trying to get a meeting, trying to go provide services. Nobody is being allowed in these nursing homes, whether you're vaccinated or not vaccinated, whether you've had both vaccinations or just the one Johnson & Johnson vaccination, doesn't matter, not to the bureaucracy. And so knowing who your customer is, knowing their pain points and what they're struggling with, and also trying to figure out if you can solve that problem for them and make sure that the solution you have doesn't cause a bigger problem on their end, because that can happen as well. The biggest thing that I want to talk about with operational deep dive, other than this business operational deep dive, this is one, by the way. Next week, we'll discuss the second half of it. The second thing I want to talk about today, the first thing is all about how to assess that you can have a product that's viable for sale before you build the product or service. And the second thing is then making sure that you look at your operation and that you can repeatedly improve upon that system or that product that you have so that you can because listen, when I first made my product, when I first made the Standard Health and Rehab, which again is an online platform to help teach administrators, it's a train the trainer program to teach nursing home administrators how to run their housekeeping and laundry departments effectively and efficiently. Because let's be honest, when you're talking about housekeeping, you're talking about one thing and only one thing, and it's called money. Housekeeping can either make you money or it can cost you money. And the question is, what is your housekeeping department doing for you? Is it making you money or is it costing you money? Those are the only 2 things it can do. And when I first created the program, I didn't have nearly the amount of bells and whistles that we have now. We started out with me and a whiteboard, and I know it's pretty good, right? Me and a whiteboard, and I am literally creating calendars, showing you how to do job routines, showing you how to do all this stuff with a Zoom camera and a whiteboard. That's the extent of it when I first started, because I didn't build the product. I sold the product and then had to build it as I went. And then the second part of that is this review process. You look back at everything you built and you say, how can I make this better? How can we improve upon it? We came up with the idea of a calendar, where now we have a calendar that you can log into. If you belong to the program, you sign up for our program, you can log into the calendar. Now, all of the work is done for you even further. Now you just log in and poof, it just comes right up and just gives you like, today this is due, tomorrow that is due. This was the week at a glance. On Friday, every Friday, it says, hey, by the way, this is what's coming up next week. My point is, in business, once you come up with a product, the first thing you want to do when you start selling a product is, it's going to happen anyway. It's going to happen anyway, especially if you have a terrible product. You need to get feedback from your customers right away. And if it's a terrible product, you'll get feedback without even asking. They'll be like, this stinks. And you're like, oh no, let me try to fix, let me try to make it better. And that feedback loop where you take your product that you created, that first thing you sold, you created it, you sold it, you implemented it, you gave the service, whatever it is, immediately right back into it going, how can we do it better next time? How can we do it better this time? How can we do it better here? How can we do a better job here? That question and answer is one of those cycles that shouldn't end, first of all, and it probably will never end. And that's good. That's how your products and services continue to develop and get better and better and better and solve more and more problems. But you got to think after you make your first sale, so that's part 2. So part 1 is you make your sale, you build your product, you deliver it, product or service. Part 2 is you immediately want to say, how was it? Did that satisfy the needs? Did you get exactly what you thought you were getting? Is there a way to make it better? What did you actually end up using it for? I know a friend of mine who said that he would never wanted to use algebra until his car broke down, and he had an emergency brake that wasn't working, but he has this big, thick algebra book. And all of a sudden he found a great use for it. It was behind the tire of the car so that it didn't roll down the hill. So the algebra book finally came in hand. So imagine being the algebra book writer going, hey, how'd you find that algebra book? Was it handy? And you have some smart aleck kid go, yeah, it's behind my car holding it so it doesn't roll down the hill, right? So that's not what you wanted your product to be used for. You don't want it to be used as a stopper. You wanted it to use it for something else. That's the other thing you want to make sure. You want to make sure that what your intended purpose of your product or service is what the customer is using it for. And if they're not, it's great information, especially if they found a new positive thing that they could be using it for, as opposed to a negative thing. And you can maybe even see in a new product line or a new service line for that same product that you didn't even think about. Super, super great idea to sell the product, build the product, ask the customer what they thought of the product, and then keep revamping from there. Next week's show, next Tuesday, we will be talking about this and more, going on part 2 of our business operational deep dive, where we're going to get into strategy and alignment and customer expectations and how to know what to know. Until then, my friends, talk soon. All right, that's it for me here. Thank you, everyone.